in grammar today. So please copy down clauses on your paper in your notebook. Should have your English notebooks out. Let's talk about clauses. Here we go. First of all, we have a wonderful Venn diagram here. As you see on the left, it says independent clause. This is what an independent clause can do. It expresses a complete thought and it can stand alone. It can be by itself in a sentence. Dependent clause, on the other hand, is unique because it begins with words such as before, after, because, when, or although. Now, a sentence like this cannot stand alone. Something like this can't stand alone as a sentence. It's not even a sentence. Before the window was open. When I brushed my teeth. Because I like to eat. Okay? Those are not sentences. They cannot stand alone. So examples like that are dependent clauses. Okay? Please press pause and copy down this Venn diagram. Thank you. Okay, you should have copied down that diagram onto the next slide. Let's do some examples together. The emperor's oldest daughter rode across the sky. Is this an independent clause or a dependent clause? In your notebook, please write down number 1 and write down IC for independent clause or DC for dependent clause. You should have written down independent clause, right? Now let's take a look at number 2. When she turned her face toward humankind. Is this an independent clause? Can this stand alone? Or is it a dependent clause? Please write down IC or DC. Well, it is DC. It's a dependent clause. That can't be a sentence by itself, can it? When she turned her face toward humankind. However, you can do what they just did right here. When she turned her face toward humankind, which is a dependent clause, they had daylight. Now, they had daylight. Is that an independent clause or a dependent clause? Well, it's an independent clause, right? So notice you have dependent clause, comma, and then an independent clause. And we'll talk more about this next week. So let's go to the next example. Before there was a moon, and then there's a blank. So before there was a moon, is that a dependent clause or an independent clause? Write it down. You should have written DC. It's a dependent clause. Now look at what they'll do. They add, the night was dark. The night was dark. Is that a dependent clause or an independent clause? That's an independent clause, right? So once again, we have a dependent clause, a comma, and then an independent clause. Let's look at some more examples. Because the moon's face shone brightly, what is that? Write down in your notebook, number 4. Is that an independent clause or a dependent clause? You should have written DC for dependent clause. And then they finished that off, right? They put an independent clause after it. No one could sleep. So altogether for number 4, you have because the moon's face shone brightly, comma, no one could sleep. And then let's take a look at number 5, which they already gave you the answer. Very nice of them. The sun said the moon was selfish. That is just an independent clause. And you can write that down in your notebook. Number 5, IC for independent clause. All right, I believe we have a few more examples. Number 6. After the queen smeared ashes on the moon's face. Now, for number 6, write down, is it IC or DC? You should write down DC because that can't stand alone, dependent clause. And I would also like you to skip a line and copy down and finish it up. After the queen smeared ashes on the moon's face, what could you put? Please write it down and press pause. Okay, continuing on, you should have put something like this. They put, the moon's face was dimmed. Okay, now yours obviously might be a little different. Okay, but no matter what, it should be an independent clause. Could the moon's face was dimmed? Could that stand alone in a sentence, as a sentence? Absolutely. To our next example. Sadly, the moon planned to hide forever. What is that? An independent clause or a dependent clause? Please write that down. Well, it is an independent clause. And our last example. When the people saw her ivory face. Please write down, is it an independent clause or a dependent clause? Either IC or DC. It is a dependent clause, so can you finish this up? Can you add an independent clause to the end? Go ahead and do that. Press pause, and then press play when you're ready again. Hopefully you wrote a nice independent clause. They loved her. So the sentence you have, when the people saw her face, they loved her. Okay, so hopefully now you understand the difference between an independent clause and a dependent clause. I know just on this page alone, I see all the different examples of independent clause, dependent clause. Okay, we're going to do a little more with this next week too. All right, thank you.